Order. This is the Public Safety Committee meeting, Monday, September 11th, 2023, and I'm the chair, Yolanda McCoy, the 6th District Council member. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. Councilwoman Oliver,
Present.
Councilwoman Darby, Councilman Johnson,
Present.
Councilman Spadola, Councilman Mills,
Present.
President Congo. All right. As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions and seconding. Okay? So we actually have quite a few things on our agenda this evening, but we have two presentations that we wanted to make certain we had time for. Our very first presentation is for the City of Wilmington Emergency Management Plan by Director of Emergency Management, Mr. Willie J. Patrick Jr. Is Mr. Patrick on the line?
I am.
Okay, great. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you. I'm having a little bit trouble, problem with your audibility. It keeps going in and out. So I don't know if that's me or you.
Oh, I am
Right,
not, sir.
but we'll get through this.
Yes, we will.
Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me. Can I start my presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to present information about the city's emergency operations plan. Just let me say that I was a little bit concerned because remember the last time we tried to do this is we ran into a little bit of severe weather, and just as I was coming into the EOC, I saw that there was heavy rain coming down outside. So we're able to get it done, and I'm so happy to be able to present, especially on this day, September 11th, the September 11th observance, the day when 297 Americans perished, 343 firefighters, 60 law enforcement officers, right? So I think this is a very significant that we're doing emergency preparedness on this day. And thank you, Madam Chair, for accommodating my time because I have to teach a class at 5:30. So just let me say that I'm going to break my presentation down into 4 parts. The first part being the purpose and mission of the emergency operations plan. The second being the development of the plan structure, and then I'll talk a little bit about plan maintenance. You can go to the next slide. To the next slide. Okay, so the emergency operations plan was developed under the authority of FEMA, which requires DEMA to have it's Title 20, Chapter 31, subsection 3107 requires DEMA to have an operation plan, and then it also requires that their plan be integrated and coordinated with the emergency operations plan of on the federal level, state level, and political subdivisions. You can go to the next slide. So the purpose of the EOP provides a systematic way of responding to emergencies. And what it does is allows for us to be able to bring our partners together and to respond to any man-made or natural emergency. Mission of the plan, you can go to the next one. The mission of the plan is just what it says, to save lives, protect property, it has two main functions of the emergency operations plan is to mitigate and prepare for, coordinate a response to any natural or man-made disaster. And the second most and equally important is to maintain continuity of government. So two main focuses of the emergency operations plan, is mitigation, preparation, and coordination, but also to maintain government continuity. Go to the next slide, please. So let's talk about the development of the plan. So in 2019, we identified a need to update their plan, the existing plan at that time, which was drafted and developed in 2015. Ideally, you should do a review of the plan every year and an update, a hard update, every 3 to 4 years. We contracted with Vision Planning, and they came on site. There were some virtual sections. They came on site also. They met with all the department heads, city council, and identified essential functions during the emergency. Each department's essential functions during the emergency. They identified the personnel needed to carry out those functions. They identified those interdependencies, those supporting agencies and personnel outside of the city of Wilmington, and then identified if there was a need for any internal MOUs or agreements to support those interdependencies. Go to the next slide. So the plan was there was a draft plan in December of 2019, which was distributed to each of the departments, and a final plan after review and comment. There was a final plan that was submitted to the mayor for sign off in February 2020, and also. And the timing of that was right at the time is when we had the onset of the coronavirus and COVID-19. So I also contracted with our consultant to update our infectious disease response plan as an annex to the EOP. So that was very timely. Next slide, please. So what does the plan look like? So it's a base plan that is augmented by 16 support functions, DSFs, and 11 hazard-specific annexes. The purpose of the annexes is it provides a detailed information that support the base plan, and whatever the situation might present, and the EOP is activated. The process is that you whatever entity is going to be using the EOP, they will use the base plan and their ESF, whether it be transportation, firefighting, law enforcement, whatever. So the purpose is to have a base plan with those base functions, and then to address whatever that incident is by incorporating one of the ESFs. You can go to the next. So what does the base plan look like? So there's a purpose statement, it's a legal authority to act, situation, assumptions, hazards, but the key to this is to the base plan is the fifth bullet, which is the concept of operations. That's where it identifies those interdependencies of all those the government agencies that come to bear when we're dealing with emergency. Because let's look at that, right? Because the reality of it is, with any major emergency, and with the EFS, we don't have the staffing. The city doesn't have the staffing. The state of Delaware doesn't have the staffing to staff all 16 EFS. So that's why it's very essential that we develop these interdependencies of government, right, and be able to reach out to a Delmarva, to American Red Cross, and you know, and bring them as partners for the mitigation of the incident. We go through the phases of emergency management, that being mitigation, preparation, response, and recovery. It identifies the EOC operations, and then it details the response to the emergency, and then it also identifies the dissemination of information to the public, which is very important. The last three parts of the base plan is the administration of logistics, plan requirements, development, and maintenance. Maintenance being very important, right? Because that's where you have to, what I'm currently doing right now, I'm going into a phase where I'm getting ready to update the current EOP. So I just signed a contract today with our consultant so that's very important. And then the distribution, because it makes no sense for me to develop a COP, and if it sits on my shelf and no one sees it, no one has an opportunity to review it, right? So that's a part of it, that's defined in the base plan. And then authority and references, who has the authority to act, and then what references were used to develop the plan. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So I spoke about ESFs, right? So the ESFs, the emergency support functions, define the roles and responsibility of city departments, public utilities, and volunteer and private organizations. They tie into the national framework, right, of FEMA, which is the National Response Plan. And then it identifies the actions of the EOP, and it coordinates with the base plan in India Hazard. One thing I think I didn't bring out, which is very important, is that, and I think there's probably a lot of misconceptions about the EOP, that it is the document that's going to address any incident, right? And no, it's not. It's a coordinating document, because if it's a fire-related incident, if it's ESF4, which is firefighting, the fire department has many detailed standard operation procedures that direct their operations. Same with law enforcement, you know. So the EOP, it coordinates, it brings agencies together, departments together, for them to be able to provide do their functions to mitigate the incident. There was one other point. And with each ESF, it provides the situation assumptions, each one, and then also it provides concepts and goals, right, for that particular emergency support function. Again, it goes through the phases of emergency management, and then it lists roles and responsibilities of that EFF. Keeping in mind continuity of government, understanding the logistics needed to carry out that EFF, and then, you know, also the biggest part of addressing or developing those EFFs is the fact that we have to maintain it. We as a city, and those primaries who have primary responsibilities for ESF, they have to you know, take responsibility to maintain it, and that falls on me. Just let me add also, with each ESF, emergency support function, there's a primary lead. So let's take transportation. For transportation, ESF1, the primary would be Public Works.
Excuse me, Mrs. Patrick, Madam
Yeah.
Chair, I have a question because I know time is ticking, so I want to get my question if that's okay.
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 You may proceed,
Sure,
Councilman Oliver.
sure, go right ahead.
Thank you. How you doing this evening?
I'm good. How about you?
Fine. I had a couple of questions. Do you have any pamphlets or other materials that can be shared with the residents, explaining what to do in an emergency situation, especially in a flood or a hurricane? in your-
Yes, there is a couple pamphlets that I have that are very detailed, that provide, it's preparedness, emergency preparedness information.
Okay,
So whether it be a flood, a hurricane, tornado, there's basic concepts that come to play and it all points to preparedness. And this very detailed pamphlet, I'd be more than glad to share with you. I've got a few of them. I'm getting ready to order some more.
okay, thank you. If we can,
Oh, hold on,
so
hold on,
at least it's a
hold on a
note that, city council can get a copy of that. May I follow up?
Yes, you may follow.
Thank you. What types of rescue equipment is available to reach residents in an emergency? I know when it was Hurricane Ida, over 11th Street Bridge was trying to find, they had, one boat, and just want to have you ordered any canoes, or what equipment have you been able to obtain since experiencing that horrible day?
What, I'm sorry,
Councilwoman,
just one moment.
that's
Mr.
that's
Patrick?
operations, that's
Mr. Patrick?
One
the
sec.
fire department.
Mr. Patrick,
So that,
Mr. Patrick? Okay.
Yes.
Just one moment. I see that you were finishing up with the annexes. I'm like, I really wanted to know whether or not the remainder of the presentation, is it as high level as this, or should we just go straight to questions, or did you need to finish the rest of the presentation?
you know what, there was probably one other thing that I really wanted to go over was the planned maintenance. So, and then after that, I think that,
Okay.
wow, I'm running
Well,
out.
Councilman Oliver, I'm allowing
Yeah,
him. you
right,
did
right,
the
so,
last
so,
one.
yeah, let's just go to the question.
Okay. I said, no, Mr. Patrick, you can actually go over plan maintenance, and then we'll go ahead and start with the questions.
Okay, all right, so one of the, I referenced the fact that, within the emergency operations plan, that there is, so let's go on. Can you move it, there, well, keep going to the next to the last slide.
There we go.
There you go. All right, so like I stated, the plan is looked at annually, and there's the review is by our department heads, by private sector organizations, to make sure that their respective ESF is still current, that the personnel identified is still applicable, and then also with the emergency support annex, that there should be, the hazard specific annexes, that there are still relevant. The plan is exercised annually. As you can see, that we just had an EOP exercise back in June. And then exercise meaning that we conduct an exercise to test different aspects of the plan. And what does this exercise? What's the purpose of the exercise? Well, the purpose of the exercise is to identify any gaps that might exist in the plan. So we go through this process, and we go through the exercise, and there's a lot of feedback. The greatest part of that is the fact that after the exercise, there's an after action review where we'll come together with our exercise developer, who identifies the great things that happen in the exercise, and then there's some things that probably we need to work on. That's where the gaps are identified in the plan, and we determine that, okay, so this is what we need to do to shore up our plan. So like I said, we just had one back on June 15th of this year. We had another one. We had the COOP exercise last year. We had a cybersecurity exercise this year also, all testing our plan. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that got in. And then then after the reviews and the updates, we do a real thorough update every 3 to 4 years, which I'm going through now. Okay, so I can take questions.
Okay. All right, first, I would like to acknowledge President Congo has actually joined us on Zoom. And Councilman Oliver, you can follow up with your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Patrick, you said you did have some pamphlets. I guess my next
Yes.
question would be, what types of warning signs does the city use to alert residents are there sirens or things of that nature? Can you send a mass text or a telephone alert? And I'm asking that because when we had Hurricane Ida, it was just water and no one had, was able to be alerted that water was coming, pouring in from the river, et cetera. I know we do get a siren when someone escapes from the prison, we hear all that, but do we have a warning sign if there is a state of emergency? And if not, is that something y'all working on? Because I think that is needed. Just looking at the climate change all over the world, it's just all kinds of stuff going on. And I noticed in other states, they do have an alert, some type of signal.
That's a good question, Councilwoman Oliver. So yes, there's multi-faceted notification mechanisms that are in place. The first is that yes, there's 16 sirens around the city. Unfortunate that when the siren system was developed back in 2005, and the identified hazard at that time was the flooding in South Bridge. So there was not a siren placed in. It's a siren warning system was not placed in 11th Street Bridge community. And here's the reality. The reality of it is, if there was a activation of the siren, that means you have to come outside to actually hear what the audible message is. But that was 2005 technology. Now we're at a point now where we have smart 911. First, I advise everyone to it's subscription based, but I advise everyone to sign up for smart 911. Then there's the WEA.
I'm sorry, Mr. Patrick.
The Weather Emergency Alert System.
I'm
That's
sorry,
when
Mr.
you
Patrick,
get
could
all
you
those
repeat that?
notifications on your cell phone, on your telephone, on your radio. During that Ida event, there were numerous WEA alerts advising residents to the impending flood and to move to higher ground. There were numerous, right? And then also there's the emergency preparedness alert warning system. During that event that you spoke about, at that time we were just coming on board with being what they call a cog for IPAWS. But Newcastle County already was up and running, and they sent out a warning.
Thank you,
advising
Mr.
of
Patrick.
impending flooding and advising people that
Mr.
they needed to-
Patrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. No, we're actually getting past the time. We wanted, and we do see that we're closer to your 5:30 mark.
Okay.
Thank you for attempting to try to get that question answered. The first time you actually talked about getting people signed up for something, a smart
Smart 911.
Smart
So
911.
it's
Okay.
smart911.com, and I advise everyone to, and it's a great notification system, but it's subscription based, right? So if you don't sign up, you don't get the information, right? So
Okay.
I advise everyone. And then the other one is in a website that I advise everyone to really become familiar with is preparedde.org. Preparedde.org. That's the website where when you talked, Councilwoman Oliver talked about evacuation routes. Well, that's where all that information is housed. Know your zone is there. Know your evacuation zone is there. And so I advise everyone to sign up for Smart 911 and be familiar with preparede.org.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, is there any way you can send this over, Mr. Patrick, so we can get this out to the constituents? Because this is the first I've ever heard of either one of these. And if you're telling us that, you know, if we want to get the information, we need to sign up. But this is information for you to give us, and also to give our,
Yes.
and also
Yes.
to give our, I
Most
would think you would have
definitely.
this, excuse me, I would think you would have this on your pamphlet or something so we can give out, not for me to make up a flyer to give out to the constituents. So whenever you get a chance, maybe your staff or somebody could just come up with a little flyer and we can make copies to give out, because this is
Okay,
the first
yeah,
I've heard.
and that information is on the flyer.
Okay.
The Smart 911 information is on
Okay.
the Newcastle County flyer that I use, and the Prepare DE is on a DEMA flyer that I use. Right, so I'll provide both to you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilwoman Oliver. And then thank you so much, Mr. Patrick.
Alrighty.
There's still
Thank
a
you.
few other questions, but I definitely want to get on to the next presentation. We will make certain that we put this information out so that it is be able to be accessed by the rest of the residents of the city of Wilmington. This is definitely some information that we will need.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, all
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. All right. Moving forward, we have a presentation for the Community Public Safety Initiative by our CPSI coordinator, Dr. Deborah Mason. Thank you so much for your patience, Dr. Mason. I've been looking forward to this presentation.
Okay, can y'all hear me? Is it on? We're good.
Yes, I was saying, you can sit down.
Well, and you can actually, you can stand at the podium or you can have a seat if you like.
I feel better stand. I've been sitting all day, so if you don't mind, I would love to stand.
Okay. All right. I said, I'm sorry, also introduce yourself once again.
Sure. Dr. Deborah Mason, the coordinator for the Community Public Safety Initiative for the City of Wilmington. All right, hello, everyone. You can go on to the next slide. Well, hold on one second. I apologize. So this right here is the symbol that was created by the organizations to identify Wilmington Street Team in the community. We have gear, we have shirts, we have jackets, we have hats with this emblem on it to really signify who we are and what they do in the community. These signs can also be found in different stores throughout East Side and Price's Run that kind of, you know, it's not just for the Wilmington Street Team, but it's for the community to say, hey, this is a safe space. If something would happen, the stores agree to allow us to use that location for a safe space. So next slide, please. So just a brief overview of what CPSI is. In 2022, the Community Public Safety Collective, which we call the Collective, completed a landscape analysis of the city of Wilmington. The analysis aimed to help the city identify a strategy to address violence from a community-based perspective. So community violence intervention is actually an evidence-based practice that has worked throughout various communities within the United States. The landscape analysis prompted the mayor and city council to create CPSI. And the goal is to utilize the community violence intervention model to increase safety in the city. Again, like I said, it's an evidence-based program, and it's used to disrupt violence and retaliation cycles and establish community relationships. So the biggest goal here is to interrupt the chain of violence. As you know, oftentimes what happens is an individual gets shot. If he doesn't die, he may retaliate. If he does pass away, his family may retaliate or his friends may retaliate. And the goal of the Wilmington Street Team is to get out there when that happens and really engage with the victim, the family, and find out what happened in an effort to interrupt that chain of violence. So next slide, please. Go back one slide, there we go. So what happened is the collective identified 4 organizations that they believed had the capacity to meet the needs of this initiative. Network Connect, the Center for Structural Equity, the Youth Advocate Program, and the Wilmington Community Advisory Council, which is only used for the Public Safety Roundtable. They're not responsible to go into the community and do any work in the community. So the Wilmington Street Team, as it's commonly called, only consists of Network Connect, YAP, and Center for Structural Equity. So next slide, please. So both Not both. All organizations did attend both of these trainings. We had two trainings that was provided by the Professional Community Intervention Training Institute, which we call PCITI. Dr. Akir Bashir came and did the trainings. He is world-renowned. He does these trainings all over the world. He is based out of California. And what he does is he comes into cities and he trains organizations to become public safety professionals. The organizations attended two of those trainings. They were absolutely amazing. I want to thank Wilmington PD who came. Chief Campos came to the first one and spoke. The second one, we had a large number of community officers that came and, talked to the training and talked to the individuals who we identified as high-risk interventionists, and they're in the community. So Wilmington PD, they did attend both of the trainings. So next slide, please. So Network Connect, each organization is responsible for a different area. So Network Connect is responsible for both Eastside and Prices Run. However, they deal with individuals who are older, who have basically aged out of what we call the high-risk age group, which is 13 to 26. So if they encounter anyone who is over that age but still needs assistance, we refer those individuals to Network Connect. CFSE is responsible for the East Side. So if they come across an individual who's between the ages of 13 and 26, they take them and put them on their caseloads. However, if they don't want to be on a caseload, they will continue to engage with them and do community encounters. And if they need help or whatever, referrals, they do all that information. They give all that information out to them as well. And then YAP is responsible for Prices Run. And then again, like I said, the Wilmington WCAC they only are responsible for hosting the public safety roundtables. At no time are they in the community doing any work in the community. Next slide. So I know this is a little hard to read, but it's the easiest way to really identify these areas outside of just saying 30th to 36th Street. So these are the zones in the city. So what happened is the organizations go out and they meet people in the community. However, they obtain identifying factors. They obtain their demographics, in regards to like their age, their race. They know who they are, their name, and all that other information. However, they didn't feel comfortable providing that to the city, so to speak, and it going into our database. So what we did was we established numbers, which is WST, and then 100, 101, whatever it may be. They know who the people are, but I don't know who the people are. So this way, if something happened with our system, that nobody who is in that system will be identified. They also didn't feel comfortable with providing direct addresses. So what I did was I went into Prices Run and Eastside, and I broke them down into zones. So what they do is they say they had an encounter, a community encounter with somebody, say in Zone 5. So that it doesn't really give the person's address, but I know, okay, there's a lot of encounters going on in this area of the city, and I also could compare those to the dispatch calls that's also going on in the city. But again, this is all just to make sure that the individuals who are participating in the program are safe. They do engage with individuals who are active shooters in the community, who are actively committing crimes, and they don't want their names in the database. So in an effort to make sure everybody has autonomy, we did it like this. Next slide, please. Again, our relationship with Wilmington Police Department is really, really important. Every morning I get an email from Dr. Karras about dispatch calls that happened in the zones that we're in. So either in Prices Run or East Side. He just gives me the address, the dispatch call, was it assault, was it a shooting, what it was. Recently we started collecting information in regards to the victim and the perpetrator, their ages, to kind of get a better age. If we need to expand that high-risk age group outside of 13 to 26, because we have heard that some of the shooters are a little bit older, so we may need to expand that. We're still collecting data to determine if we want to do that. The information is recorded every morning into Apricot. This gives individuals who are identified as the high-risk interventionists in the community to go in here and see what's going on. Every morning, they know exactly what happened the night before. They go in here, and what they do also is I put another space in here where they can link their names to the actual call. So for example, if a homicide happened in the community and 3 high-risk interventionists responded to it, they can link their names to it so that I can see actually who is going where and doing what. And this also, it helps us show the community, look, there's things going on and there are people actually responding, and we have documentation to prove that. So it's really helpful. And next slide, please. So this is just the community encounters. This just shows how many encounters took place in each zone. There are often times where we get information that are outside of our zones, but we still keep that information because usually those dispatch calls happen within a block or two of our zone, so we still collect that data. So as you can see on the graph, there were six encounters in zone 1, 5, and 2, 27 in zone 3, 34 in zone 4, 3 in zone 5, 33 in zone 6, 15 in zone 7, and 16 in zone 8. So that means that 8 separate times, individuals were out in the community and came across somebody who said, hey, I need help, or they was like, do you need help? Is there something going on? These community encounters could be anywhere from just, hey, a referral to treatment, here's a Narcan kit that you need, all the way up to, somebody overdosed and now they're out in the community and that counts as a community encounter. So I recently did stats for the last 90 days and the encounters range. You could not put your finger, just say, oh, well, they only do one thing. No, they don't. They are out there doing all kinds of work in the community, all the way from buying flashlights for the community when the power went out over in Prices Run, to transporting somebody who they saw miss the bus and they needed a ride to social services, and they picked them up and took them to social services. So the community encounters can range across the board. So next slide, please. So this is just a slide of the dispatch calls that were received, the amount of dispatch calls that were received in each zone. Again, they're broken down into zones because that's the easiest way to compare the information. Let's go to the next slide because this is where you see the comparison. Next slide, please. All right, so here it is. So this slide shows you that the light line is the encounter counts and the dark line is the number of dispatches. So what we want to see is the dark line being lower than the blue line. And in most cases, it is. In most cases, it is definitely lower than the encounter counts. There is one place where we have, I believe it's 5 in 1, 2, 3, maybe zone 2, I think it is. We have, yes, it was zone 2, you have a higher amount of dispatches than encounters. So in zone 2, you have, I believe there's 5 encounters and 8 dispatch calls. But all the other ones are either equal or less than. So what that says is that for the amount of encounters that happen in a community, the higher they go, it's appearing that the dispatch calls are decreasing. So the amount of community engagement is definitely, it's showing a correlation between that and the amount of calls that are happening in that area. All right, so next slide. So what we are working on right now, we're working on gathering or finding another location in the Prices Run area. We have a place on North Pine Street, 914 North Pine Street, which is identified as a hub. So basically what this is the high-risk interventionists have a place to go during your day. If we have individuals in the community that need some help and they don't feel comfortable coming to the social service building or whatever it may be, they can go to this house and say, hey, this is what I need, what can y'all help me with? So it's really important that rather than forcing individuals to leave their community and come to places where they don't feel comfortable, we want to put ourselves into the community so they can come to 914. It's not, I don't think it's a north, it might be east Pine Street. Is it north or east? Yeah, breakdown. I know where it's at, but I always, for some reason, I was like, wait, am I crazy? But, so North Pine Street, yes. So they have a space there. The house is fully refurbished. It's beautiful. They are supposed to be putting in furniture today. I have to go over there and check. The house also has a full kitchen in it, full working kitchen, has a backyard. I also requested a washer and a dryer. So that has been put into the basement as well. I know that they told me last week that they've already found somebody who needs their clothes washed. So what we were really, really worried about is having children be in the community and say, why aren't you going to school? And it's easy as saying, them saying, listen, I don't have clean clothes. And the interventionist could say, well, bring me all your clothes, we'll wash them here. Or somebody doesn't have a bath, they can get a shower there, whatever it may be. But that hub is for the community. It's not a public place. I know some individuals were concerned about it being a community center, and I said, that's not what it is. Not at all. There will not be people running in and out of here. It's more so for individuals who don't feel comfortable coming to this building, or they don't have transportation to go to the social service building. It's to serve the community. But we are working on another hub over in Prices Run that has been a little bit harder to find than the one on East Side. So when we get that, I'll definitely let y'all know. But it's really, really important that we get one of those. And it's nice that this is right here in the middle of the city, and it's in Zone 6, which Zone 6, we have the highest amount of dispatch calls happening in Zone 6. And Pine Street is definitely one of those, North Pine Street is definitely one of those areas where we have a lot of incidents taking place at. And that is it.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mason. I truly appreciate that presentation. Do any of my colleagues had any questions? Councilman Johnson.
Yes. So I guess just the overall question. Thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing the basics of the data. So I guess overall trends, and maybe this is more of a question for Chief, but have you been seeing the violent offense trends go down? Are they stabilizing? What does that trend look like in these zones?
So overall, they are going down. We have looked at specific areas. And again, what we're really looking at right now is we've only been up and running for 90 days. So what we're really looking at right now is the amount of community engagement versus the amount of crime that's happening in the area. I was not able to pull off the extent of all the dispatch calls. I did look at the murders that took place and the total shootings that took place, and they're relatively stable. Last year we had, I believe, 2 murders in District 11 and 2 in District 13, and I believe those are the 2 districts that we're looking at. So far right now we have 2 and 2 as well in 2023. In 2021, District 11 had 6 murders, and 2021, District 13 had 5. So we are lower than we were in 2021. So hopefully we can maintain that. And the total shootings for the east side has actually increased slightly, but the total shootings for Prices Run or North Side has actually decreased.
Okay.
So.
And
Yes, you may follow.
now it's the clarification. It is monthly. Is obviously only focusing on data in the zones.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously crucial to making sure the numbers go down. But oh, sorry. So yeah, I was just again just kind of crunching the data and looking at that, and then also, is it possible to have an encounter without a dispatch call, or encounters measured that aren't related to a call? So say if they're at a basketball court or they're at the park and somebody needs help, is that counted as well?
Yes, absolutely. We have 2 different types of encounters. So we have community encounters where we just come across those individuals and they have a conversation with them. They may talk to them about a job, or they need referrals for housing. That's one way you can have a community encounter. And then we have high-risk interventions, where those might be the situations where there's a fight at the basketball court, and that would be an encounter as well. So we did have an incident. We had tons of incidents, but we had one specifically where there were 2 females who were actually fighting, and the Wilmington Street Team was able to intervene and, get those females to separate and walk away safely. So no police were called, no real harm was done to anyone. So it is working. It's just that you cannot really quantify or say with certain that this contributed to this being lower. We just can't do that. So we have to collect these numbers.
And just the second part of the question really is a different issue. Different question is about WCAC.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I haven't really seen too much going on about the roundtables, so I don't know if it's just something that I'm missing, or are you not advertising on WITN or what? like, when will they be happening? I guess the question is.
So they've been happening twice a month since June.
Okay.
There is a flyer that WCAC sends out. I'm not quite sure, who that is all dispersed to. They have their own.
Because I've never seen anything, maybe I'm wrong, sent to council, but.
No, yeah, there has been a flyer that has been going out by email, but I do understand your point. Besides getting a direct flyer as a council person, how is everyone else being reached?
So they send out emails. I know that for sure. And then the interventionists who are out in the community hand out flyers. So if there's an event, so maybe if Network Connect has an event, because they are separate from Wilmington Street Team, if they have an event, they have flyers available. CFSE hands out flyers, and YAP also hands out flyers. So a lot of it is just, handing out flyers and word of mouth more than anything. So the organizations are really focused on getting the community there, but I will make sure that all of City Council gets flyers as well.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot to acknowledge Councilman Bracy had joined us as well as on Zoom. If no one else had any questions, I had some. Okay, Councilman Mills.
Yes. Thank you, Doctor, for that presentation. Two quick questions. One, in reference to the roundtables, is there a number that how as far as participation from the community, like attendance sheets or anything that, just to say there's been 50 people with this one, 20 of that one?
Yes, so we keep track of that information, and there's data being collected in regards to who comes to the roundtables.
Okay, and how's the turnout been?
The turnout's been great.
Okay.
Actually, it's been really, really good. For a while there, we were having a lot of young people come, which was excellent because they were actually engaged and talked about what was going on in the community. I know one of them, about two meetings ago, we had a young lady who talked about mental health issues at school. We were able to really, talk to her and explain to her that there has been, a law put in place that mental health is now something that can be used, not over and above, but if, everybody should have a right to a mental health day. So that was really, really helpful. Then the last meeting we just had, which was at the Community Education Building, it was great. We had some individuals come in, they talked about employment, we talked about organizations that have different programs for individuals who may have felonies. So these are what the roundtables are really about, is just getting out information that individuals, if it didn't happen in the community, they wouldn't show up. So
Okay,
it's
thank
really
you.
good.
One more question?
Yes, you may follow.
Yeah, thank you. And what does, you mentioned being put on someone's caseload, what does that look like?
So the caseload is just what you would think of if you are a counselor. You have a caseload. The individuals, and usually we try to focus on high-risk individuals being on caseloads. So the high-risk interventionists usually carry a caseload maybe, 5 to 10 people. It depends. So those individuals, they engage with them on a regular basis. If they need services, they send them out to different, agencies. Network Connect may be involved because they have a lot of services for younger people. So we kind of try to use the resources that we already have. But the caseloads are the same as any caseload that you could think of if you thought about a counselor. They come in, they talk to them, they reach out if they need help. We had a young man who had some issues at school. His counselor, if you want to say counselor, but we call them high-risk interventionists. His high-risk interventionist, his HRI, went to the school and actually talked to the principal on his behalf and really got the situation under control. So the young man is doing a lot better. So it's just the same as you would think of with any caseload. But some individuals don't want to be on a caseload, but they still want help. So those are the individuals that we may count as just a community encounter.
All right, thank you, Doc.
Okay. All right, thank you. I actually had a few questions. So just wanted to get information about the meetings. Now, I do realize that I know we have received the meeting flyers in the past. I would like to be able, for you to be able to send that information to WCAC, letting them know that we would like to make certain that we're getting them. And also, we would like to see the numbers. If you've already had 2 meetings per month, that means we've had 6 meetings, and we would like to see exactly how many people are actually attending. And topics would be great, too, to see what you guys are talking about.
Okay.
That was one. So the other thing is the hub. How long have you had this hub? Because this is something new that I've not known about. And where did the funding come for this hub?
Well, we have had this property, August was when we got it. August, when we had the event on North Pine Street, 9th and Pine, the event that the city had. I got the keys that day. But we just been waiting to try to get the furniture and everything for the house. And the funding is through Woodlawn Trust. I spoke to them, I had a meeting with them, and asked them, can we have this house for a while? And we don't want to pay for it, so can you help us out? And they kindly agreed to that. So the house is actually free for us for about until 2026. I asked to use the house until the sunset of this program. So it's free of charge. Only thing that we have to do is the city is just cover the utilities. That's it. But the house is beautiful. It has a security system in it. They redid the whole entire house for us, so it's nice.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, Councilwoman Oliver.
Yes, Dr. Mason, great presentation. I just was going to say, about the flyers, if you can make sure we receive, and that's what Councilman McCoy said. And I wanted to also give y'all kudos. I did stop by for the PCI-TI training when Dr. Kidd was here, and they also came on a TV show. And I found the training to be enlightening, and, you know, I just saw the engagement and all the questions, and it was interesting. So, and I walked around and asked a couple of people that were, that's already participating in the program, who were there to complete the training. Did they find, were they getting something out of it? And all of them gave me some good feedback. So it seems like it was a training that was overdue, and they really appreciate it. So good work.
Thank you for that, appreciate
So I
it.
think, could you announce when your next meeting is?
So today is the 11th, so it's Monday. So the 19th, September 19th is our next meeting.
And
It
where
will be
would-
at the Hope Commission. The meeting starts at 6 PM, but the doors open at 5:30. So we would appreciate if everyone came.
So you said the round table is getting better, okay? And are y'all following up now? Because I know at one point Kevin was stated that, you know, y'all was trying to get that together. So if somebody's asking the questions, or the next meeting, are you following up, opposed to just having a meeting and somebody talking, then nobody never gets back and follow up with the questions? So is that, I mean, are y'all working on that?
They do. The organizations themselves, they know. For example, we had a situation at the last meeting where some people needed assistance. However, the individuals who were looking for assistance were senior citizens. So the individual, one of our case managers from Network Connect, followed up with that situation. So they are following up.
All right, actually, I have one more question. I am just pleased that we finally got a chance to get a press release out and get the mini grants started. For all those people who actually did participate and made certain that they sent that information in. The city of Wilmington is not trying to work apart from the community. We are not trying to make ourselves a silo. We have actually asked for all those nonprofits who are already kind of doing the work to, you know, send in information. And so the first round of mini grants should be going out. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so we identified 5 groups. 3 of them were contacted today who will receive a mini grant. The big thing about the other organizations outside of the Wilmington Street Team is that I have stayed in constant contact with those organizations. I at no time wanted them to feel like they weren't part of this, because I said your work matters. So they were invited to the trainings. Anything that we had, they are always invited to. Everything that I can do to incorporate them into, I do. So there are some organizations who have actually completed both PCI-TI trainings. And the grants, we will officially, you know, give out all the information on Friday for the first round, and then the second round will be opening up shortly after. So we have identified 5 organizations.
So we have 5 additional organizations that will be receiving their mini grants this Friday?
We have 5 total for this week. We have 5 that we selected, and then we will have another opening, another round shortly,
Another round.
and then another 5 will be eligible for grants.
I thank you so much, Dr. Mason, for your presentation.
Thank
Like I
you.
stated, I've been waiting on this for some time.
Yes.
Chief Campos, would you like to add something?
If I may, Madam Chair.
The Wilmington Precinct, remember they, excuse me. Yes. They said they had,
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, Chief Campos. Please.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, Council President, council members. Just want to say the wonderful work that Dr. Mason and her street team have been doing to help us reduce crime in the city and, more importantly, violent crime. To answer Councilman Johnson's question, right now in the areas that they're working in, prices run, we've had a 16% reduction so far this year compared to 2022. In Part 1 crimes. Shooting incidents are down 14% in that district, which is District 13. And then in District 11, which is the east side where they're also operating, there's been a 14% reduction in Part 1 crimes. Shooting incidents, we are up 1 from last year, 7 compared to 6. But it just goes to show that all these strategies that we have in place, including Dr. Mason's team and the great work that they're doing, are helping reduce crime in the city of Wilmington. So just want to say those words because I know you brought it up, and we'll continue to offer any support that we can as a police department, but independently they're doing great work, getting ahead of a lot of these issues that are happening. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we are done our presentations. We actually have 5 resolutions that are going to be presented this evening. These are all coming from the Wilmington Police Department. All right.
Madam Chair, I'm going to ask to be excused. I support all of these resolutions, but I do have another appointment
Okay.
over to the 8th event.
All right. You're excused.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Looks like all right. Mr.
David,
Karras?
yes,
Yes, PhD, okay. And Chief Campos, we are ready to talk about your resolutions. We can go ahead and start from the top.
All right, Madam Chair, we have 5 resolutions on the table. You want me to go through each one?
Yeah, just at least overview of what these resolutions are.
Yes, first one's a resolution approving the police department's grant application to the State of Delaware Law Enforcement SLEE Fund for equipment. We're going to be requesting funding for the amount of $62,561. Part of that is to try to buy a vehicle mover for our forensics unit. Sometimes when we tow vehicles into the police department to be processed, it's real difficult to get these vehicles moved around. We have to call a tow company to come in and move one car from a certain area to another area, and it'll be a lot easier and probably more economical for us to be able to just jack these vehicles up, put these movers underneath, and then be able to move the cars ourselves.
Okay.
So that's one I think that we're looking at. The other one is 2 computers in the amount of $9,100, and that's for our police motorcycles, and this will give them the ability to, when they respond out to traffic accidents, to be able to print a report there, or even if they're doing traffic enforcement, to be able to issue those tickets, those electronic tickets there on the spot. And then the last one is $11,000 to purchase 150 tourniquets for our patrol division, and that'll give them the ability, we already have some in place, but they're getting kind of old and frayed, and that's just to, when they respond to an emergency, whether it's a traffic accident, they'll be able to stop any bleeding that may cause someone to lose their life. And I can think of one particular incident that comes to mind. It was an accident down on Church Street, left from church. I believe it was a young man had a severe artery that was bleeding, and the officers were able to respond, apply the tourniquet quickly, get him to the hospital, and the doctor said that saved their lives, so from bleeding out. So that was very important, and it is very important to purchase that equipment.
Okay. All right, so that is the first resolution that we just went over for the amount of $62,561. This is a resolution. Are there any, let me see, we have to have any matching funds or anything? Nope, no local matching funds are required by this grant. All right, are there any questions? Okay, Councilman Johnson.
Chief Campos, this, and it'll probably apply to all these items on agenda. And I know we're not here for that tonight, but at some point I would like an update on where we are with working with Christiana Care in terms of mental health responders as well. You mentioned medical health needs. And again, we can probably save that for next month, but I would like an update on where we are with that, and if progress is being made. I certainly support these, but I'm also looking from a obviously high-level view. I know that was part of your vision, so I just want to see where we are, plus the CEU teams that work on the ground on the street.
Yep. Do you want me to do it now, or?
Just, I mean, briefly, is
Yep.
there an update that you can give a full
Yep,
picture
there is an
of?
update. Actually, I just spoke to David today about it. Our co-responder team, we have the contract. Right now, it's in the administration hands to be approved. Once we get that approved, it'll be going to Christiana Care, so they can do the hiring, and then we can get going. So everything is pretty much in place. It's just a matter of now getting the contracts and everything
This is,
finalized.
this is more for Madam Chair. Is that possible that there could be a presentation on that program once it's ready to launch, either, I guess, October or November meeting?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know that's a long time in coming, and we've been working on that. I think it would be great to let the whole city know what that program's going to bring to the table, too.
Definitely.
Great job.
Okay. All right, thank you. Were there any other questions?
No,
All right. So because this is a resolution, it is not required to be voted out of council. It will, I'm sorry, voted out of committee. It will go to the full council on September 21st. Is that correct, Kendra? Okay. All right. So I thank you. And we will then go to the very next resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next one is a grant application to the State of Delaware Emergency Illegal Drug Enforcement Program, or EDI, to support drug investigations. This is a grant offered by the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security through its Emergency Illegal Drug Enforcement Program. We are invited to apply for these funds every year, and we are eligible this year for $33,595.75 in grant funding. These funds would help cover overtime costs for drug investigations and anti-violence initiatives undertaken by our Drug Organized Crime and Vice Division. And this grant does not require any local funds. And this is basically to supplement any additional investigations that our drug unit is having, such as if we get an increase in cost for service from our community meetings where we go and someone says, hey, there's something going on here, and when we can get these funds and offer additional overtime to help, curb that, whatever's going on in that neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief. So as he stated, there is no local matching funds required. This, too, is a resolution that does not have to be voted out of committee, and we will also see this on the floor on September 21st. We can go on to the next item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next one is a resolution approving the police department's grant applications to the State of Delaware State Aid to Local Law Enforcement, or SALLY program, to provide advanced and specialized training to officers. This is a grant offered by the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security, State Aid to Local Law Enforcement Program, or otherwise known as SALLY. We are eligible to apply for funding every year, and currently we're eligible for $62,121.24 in grant funding. These funds allow us to provide advanced and specialized training for our officers throughout the department, including patrol officers, investigators, and members of specialized units. There are no matching funds required for this grant as well, and this will allow some of our officers who get, transferred to a new division, such as Detective Division, to go out and get some additional training on interviewing techniques, investigations, so forth and so on.
Okay. Thank you. So that was just about to be my question, too. You said specialized training, since this is going on annually, but it can go for different types of training.
Yes.
Okay, all right. As well, $62,121.24. No matching funds required, and this, too, is a resolution. We will see it on the full floor on September 21st. And it looks like we have one last resolution.
Two.
Oh, we got two? Oh, wait a minute, hold up. Am I missing something? Okay, all right, so the next one is, let me make certain I got sleeve. Okay, all right, you can go on to the next.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Resolution approving the police department's grant application to the State of Delaware Special Law Enforcement Assistance Fund, or otherwise known as SLEAF, for new and replacement equipment. This is another grant offered by the State of Delaware Special Law Enforcement Assistance Fund. We're eligible to apply funding each year and currently eligible for $70,000 in grant funding. We have applied for grant funding for several projects. One is $18,000 will allow for the purchase of an event data recorder, which will help investigators download crucial information from Hyundai and Kia model vehicles or brand vehicles following fatal, near fatal, and other serious motor vehicle collisions. Right now, we do not have that for those two model vehicles or companies. And then $52,000 will allow for the purchase of 20 new LifePak 1,000 automatic external defibrillators to be carried in our patrol vehicles. This will replace aging devices that are no longer functioning and are outside of the warranty coverage. There are no matching funds required for this funding as well. And as we all know, AEDs are a very crucial part of our equipment in our patrol vehicles to be able to respond to emergencies when people are having heart attacks and things of that nature, to be able to hopefully save their lives if we get there in a timely manner.
All right, thank you. So actually, my question is, you said just for Hyundai and Kia vehicles, and you do not have those. Are there other type styles of vehicles or something that, like, each vehicle has its own different type of data recorder?
David?
Yes, sir. Good evening. So, different model or different manufactured vehicles require different equipment. So Hyundai and Kias are actually manufactured by the same company, or the same parent company. So this would allow us to be able to, I believe it's the later, newer model vehicles that now we'll be able to extract information from. In the past, actually, I think it was also through Sleep, we obtained another device for a different subset of cars. So as cars advance, the new equipment allows us to get that information about braking, speed, and or other things like that.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilman Johnson.
Just going into a little bit the technology, this with Honda and Kia, since those are, I guess, the cars that are top of mind because of the vehicle thefts, is that going to help with those investigations as well, or help hopefully lead to recovering those cars?
I think it does have that potential, especially if they're involved in an accident. It's basically looking in the black box of the vehicle, so that would give us definitely some information about that. And I know hopefully you've seen and hopefully you've passed out to your constituents too. On the note of the Hyundai and Kia theft trend, we have been pushing out the steering wheel locks, and Corporal Dan Rice in our office has handed out over 450 so far to the community. So that's been a great initiative, and we certainly encourage anybody who knows constituents who have a vehicle that matches that trend to definitely reach out to us.
Okay, great.
And one of the things we're doing with the Hyundai and Kia products is when we do our CompStat reporting, we're being proactive with our community engagement officers. So even when there's an attempt of a vehicle, Kia or Hyundai, to be stolen, we're reaching out to the constituents and going out and offering these free wheel locks, so that we know that if they tried and they didn't get it, they're probably going to come back again. So trying to prevent that.
All right, thank you. Okay, so, let me see, this 70,000, no matching funds. Okay, and so this is a resolution as well. It will go to the full floor on September 21st. I don't have the last piece of paper, so we have the very last resolution. If you can please talk to us about that one.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. It's a resolution approving the police department's grant application to the State of Delaware Fund to Combat Violent Crimes for violent crime reduction efforts. And this is a grant offered, again, by the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security Fund to Combat Violent Crime. This year, again, we're eligible to apply for funding and currently eligible for $411,173.92 in grant funding for violent crime reduction efforts. These funds are eligible to cover the cost of overtime for police officers to engage in violence reduction initiatives. This most frequently involves additional proactive, high visibility patrols in areas affected by violence. And we identify these areas through our reports, through intelligence, through our community meetings, through areas that we know are in need. And this allows us to put out additional officers to supplement our uniformed services officers who are out there. So this is in addition to what we already have the officers doing. And this is no matching funds are required as well.
Okay. All right, so, sorry, Chief Campos, I actually do not have this in front of me. You said $411,000 for overtime?
Yes.
Okay. And we use that much overtime on a annual basis that we're getting from, hold up, who's this coming from? The state, Delaware State, okay, the State of Delaware Fund,
Mhm.
to combat violence crime. We're asking for this, funding annually?
We get it annually, yes. And our other municipalities are eligible as well,
Okay. And we use all of it?
depending on the size. Yes, we use all of it, yes. Well, we try to anyway.
Okay, I just wanted to be certain, all right. This right here will probably be the thing that, we'll probably see more, kickback about, if you think about it, spending $411,000 on overtime when we're still dealing with what we are dealing with here within the city of Wilmington. So I just want you to be aware.
Okay.
When it comes to receiving, grants and such from the state, there's no, local matching funds for this either? Okay. So we'll always try to make certain that we are, supplementing our budget with whatever's coming from the state, but you know what it is.
Thank you.
All right, so this also is a resolution. It does not have to be voted out of committee, and it will come to the full council floor on September 21st. Okay? So if there are no other questions, I'm sorry. Oh, is that, thank you. I'm so sorry. All right, yes, so if there's any questions or public comment. Is anyone? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm so used to people being in here to give me public comment, yeah. All right, so there's nothing else. I would like to say thank you so much for coming to present. We will see you, or we will basically have these resolutions on the floor on September 21st. And I would like to, before I adjourn the meeting, I do also want to recognize that we did talk about, Mr. Patrick did speak about today's Patriots Day. That we want to make certain this is the day that nobody should forget, especially those within our generation. And we just want to make certain that we do still take the time to remember all those who have lost their lives and those who actually gave their lives trying to defend the people and to rescue those on September 11, 2001. So I just wanted to make certain that everyone got a chance to think about that for a second today before we close out our day. And with that being stated, I would like to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right. I said the meeting is adjourned. Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.